Tomorrow, it's Menopause Month, and tomorrow is World Menopause Day. So it is near and dear to my heart because a lot of what we do at Glow Natural Wellness centers around perimenopause and menopause. And those of you who know my story know that I had the really unique opportunity to go through menopause not just once, but twice. And so I can talk a little bit about that later. But I really just wanted to open this up to help you guys get more clarity around menopause, perimenopause, hormone replacement therapy. What's good for you? What's bad for you? What are you really getting? Is there a natural way to balance your hormones? Do you have to use medications and drugs? Is there things that you can do to help facilitate better hormone balance along the way? And what are the symptoms of menopause? Like, is body odor a symptom? Is anxiety a symptom? There's so many different symptoms. There's over 100 different symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, and it gets really confusing. What's the hormones and what's something else? And so many women write in on Instagram, through our email, on Facebook, like all over the web, just asking questions. And I try to do these kind of community service Q&As around once a month. I really do love like sharing information and educating on menopause because I feel like it is such a needed topic. And women's health in general doesn't get that much press and doesn't really get talked about. And even at our doctor's offices, a lot of the information that we get is incomplete, incorrect, outdated. And so this is just kind of a fun night to hang out, to ask questions. And so if you've never been on one of these Q&As before, it's pretty laid back. I'm not going to bust out with any slides or sales pitches or anything like that. We're just here to answer questions. I try to get through as many questions as I can. And nothing's kind of off limits. The things that I cannot do is I cannot diagnose a condition. I cannot give you a direct treatment here on this call. I can give you kind of general advice. I'm not going to review individual lab numbers or anything like that. We're going to try to answer questions that are going to help everybody and get some myths busted, some misinformation corrected, and then we're also going to do some giveaways. So we have a bunch of our products here that we're going to give away absolutely free. You do not have to buy anything. Usually I have my son Paxton act as the prize patrol, but his grandma is here visiting. She's going to be watching him while we go out of town. So he is not available today. So I will have to do my own prize patrol. So it won't be as cute or as fun. So anyway, we're going to get right into your questions. So the best way to answer a question is to one, you can say hi in the chat. So I'm just going to pull up the chat and say, people are saying hi. Shauna is here. Shauna is one of our amazing hormone coaches. And then Jen is here as well. Jen is our community success manager. She's been with me for almost the entire time at Glow Natural Wellness, and she's been in many different roles, and she is absolutely amazing. So they're going to be helping me in the chat and in the Q&A, just kind of facilitating, making sure I don't miss a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to try as good as I can to answer questions. And so if you can, it's super helpful if you put your question in the Q&A little section. So there's on your little Zoom platform. If you're on the phone, it might be a little different, but if you're on your computer, there's a chat, which is like two little bubbles. And that's where you can say hi, or I'm here from Arizona, Laura Lee, hello. And you can just kind of like comment on things people are saying. But if you have a question, then you want to put it in the question box, and that is a little question mark. And so if you pop it in there, it's easier for me to kind of keep track. I just kind of go through them and answer them as I go. And then I do have a few questions that were sent in via email. So I will definitely address those in between the questions that you guys write in. So again, nothing's off limits really. I'm pretty much an open book, so I'm happy to share my experience. I'm happy to share my insights, what I feel, what I think. And I will tell you when I'm telling you my opinion versus when I'm telling you fact. And so that's important to know because a lot of doctors, especially on TikTok and on Instagram, they will say things as if they are facts, but they're actually just their opinions. But there are actually a lot of facts that we need to talk about. So let me get right into the questions. Hi, everybody. I see we got Ontario in the house. We got Arizona. We got a few of you from Arizona. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions. So first one is about what are some strategies to reduce the endometrial lining or prevent it from thickening? So that is going to be something that is pretty common that happens as we enter perimenopause. So it can happen anytime in your life with hormone imbalances, especially if you're not ovulating correctly. But specifically, as we enter perimenopause, the majority of women are going to actually experience somewhat of this issue. And it's because our hormones do not decline all at the same rate. Some of them decline faster than others. And the most commonly declining hormone first is going to be progesterone. Progesterone is the one that is going to usually start dropping first before the estrogen, before the testosterone. There are some women where they will have estrogen drop before that, but for the most part, it's going to be progesterone dropping first, followed by estrogen and or testosterone. Some women do not have a drop in their testosterone until later. So what that means is, so when you think about our hormones, estrogen and progesterone are the main hormones of our reproductive cycle. And so estrogen is the one that builds up the endometrial lining to make it nice and comfy. Should you fertilize an egg and you're set to grow a baby, that is going to be that cushy lining for it. But progesterone comes in, and if there's no egg that's fertilized, it actually breaks down the lining, and that's what comes out as your period. So when your progesterone starts declining, if it's imbalanced with the estrogen, so if you're somewhat estrogen dominant, then you can see this thickening happening. You can also see it happening if you're on certain medications or if you're on hormone replacement therapy that's not balanced. Now, why might it not be balanced? It might be because you might be taking an oral progesterone, you have gut issues or liver issues that's preventing you from absorbing that progesterone. It might be that you're on the wrong doses, and it might be that you're in perimenopause and all of a sudden now your estrogen spiked. And so now you don't have enough progesterone to take care of that. But it's mostly easy to take care of just by balancing out your hormones. So a lot of times that's adding in some progesterone. Other things that are also helpful is eating an anti-inflammatory diet, reducing insulin resistance. So things that are going to be like high sugar foods that are going to spike your insulin. Also, stress reduction is another big one because stress can also spike your insulin, which can have an effect on your hormones and can have an effect on your endometrial lining as well. But the number one thing you're going to do there is add that progesterone in. So possibly if you've never had any hormones before, you might want to do a hormone test. You can get a test from your doctor as a blood test. You can order tests online. We offer a hormone trio test, which is a very easy to do test. It's a saliva test that you do at home that measures your free and available levels of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So you're going to be able to see where the imbalance is. So those are a couple of things that you can look at. Awesome. Will low estrogen cause joint pain? This is the next question. Such a good question, because joint pain is one of those symptoms that a lot of times we don't attribute to hormone decline, but estrogen is our hormone that we think of for all of our female attributes, right? We think of it for having babies. We think about it for our hips and our boobs and all those things that are very womanly qualities. But estrogen is also a very hydrating hormone, and it also helps with joint flexibility and tissue flexibility. It's what builds our collagen and elastin in our skin and our joints. So absolutely, when you start to lose estrogen, your joints can become dry and brittle and be more susceptible to pain. And also estrogen, when it declines, inflammation increases because estrogen is very anti-inflammatory. So the inflammation alone can be causing your joint pain, or it could be the lack of lubrication of your joints, which is a result of that low estrogen. A lot of times we think about low estrogen, we think about vaginal dryness, but it's actually our whole body that is drying out, including our joints. And so that can be a huge symptom relief when we go on hormone replacement therapy, or if we just balance out our hormones. If we're only 25 years old and we are not cycling because we are under a lot of stress, we're working out really hard, and we're not eating a healthy diet, that can also be a reason for low estrogen. Or postpartum, once you have a baby, a lot of times, especially if you're still breastfeeding, you can have that low estrogen state as well. So it's not always just hormone replacement. It is for women who are in that midlife stage and they're not going to be making any estrogen again because of their ovaries are done pretty much with making estrogen, then that's when we need to replace it. But if you're postpartum, if you are a younger person who is having an ovulatory cycle, so not having a menstrual cycle, then it could be something that is a temporary glitch with your estrogen levels that can be corrected with lifestyle. We always recommend lifestyle in addition to hormone replacement therapy. If we're going to be replacing hormones, we want to make them work well. So we want to do the stress reduction. We want to eat the anti-inflammatory diet. We want to make sure we're getting plenty of protein and fiber. We want to make sure we're moving our body in a way that feels good for us, but also in a way that's going to help build bone and muscle. And that also builds up our joints as well. And so there's a lot of different things you can do, but definitely it is a symptom of low estrogen. And if you are interested in like learning about your symptoms a little bit, we do have some great resources on our website. So we have one resource. If you go to glownaturalwellness.com and you click on the button that says learn at the top, we have a bunch of free resources. One of them is a quiz. So you can take a quiz to learn like which hormone deficiency you might be experiencing. Or if you want like to read and you want to just kind of learn, you can actually go to our free guide that's called 99 Symptoms, One Root Cause. And that will kind of go through all the different symptoms and which hormone is attributed to that symptom. So which hormone deficiency, I should say, is attributed to that symptom. And so really great information, and it's all completely free. And then if you want to discuss your symptoms with somebody, we're getting questions answered here, but you have more questions about your particular situation, we do offer free consultations with our team. And so it looks like Shauna is putting some links for me in the chat. And so we'll go ahead and pop the link to the consultation as well, if you're interested. And we are running a huge menopause month sale right now, over 50% off our Healthy Hormone Club, which includes non-toxic 100% natural plant-based hormone restoration, so hormone replacement therapy, along with coaching and support and testing. So you're going to be able to meet with hormone specialists. You're going to be able to get your hormones tested. You're going to get your completely non-toxic, plant-based, ethical hormones delivered to your door. We actually have the only hormones that are certified by Leaping Bunny, which is a organization that is for consumer protection and also animal protection. So we're one of the only, well, actually, we are the only hormone replacement product that I know of that is not tested on animals. So, if you have some ethics or morals that you don't want to compromise, if you're vegan or you don't want to put chemicals in your body or adhesives or, petrochemicals or parabens or phthalates, those are in a lot of the hormone preparations, like a lot of the pharmaceutical hormones, a lot of the compounded hormones have these extra chemicals in them, as do most drugs. And so I kind of like had a wake-up call when I was looking for my own hormone replacement therapy. And I was like, oh my God, like why? I don't want to put these endocrine disrupting compounds in and on my body just to get my hormones. So that's why we created this line of natural plant-based hormone replacement that doesn't have any of the chemicals and is not tested on animals and is verified by USP. So the United States Pharmacopoeia actually verifies the hormones to make sure they're actually pure and potent. And so you can actually trust those products. So those are part of our Healthy Hormone Club, along with the support, along with the testing. And so it's a great community. We have close to 5,000 women in our Healthy Hormone Club, and it is just so much fun to see their lives changing. So if you are interested in that type of support, it is over 50% off right now for World Menopause Month. And so we'd love for you to join us. But anyway, you can definitely go to our website and click on Hormone Club, and you'll see the full price. But if you go to the checkout, it's an automatic discount right now. And so I think someone's dropping that in the chat as well. All right, awesome. I'm going to go to the next. So is gluteal tendinopathy real, and what do you do for it? So not super familiar with this condition, but just from the name gluteal, so the gluteus, so the butt, tendinopathy, that is a inflammation of the tendons. So that it is a real thing. You can have inflammation issues with the tendons in any place in the body. What you can do for it, there can be many different causes of something like this, but it could also be hormone related. We have a lot of research about tendonitis and tendinopathy of the shoulder region, frozen shoulder, tennis elbow, things like that related to estrogen decline. I don't know of specific research for the gluteus maximus or gluteus minimus muscle, but it definitely can be related, but it can also be other things. So definitely I would, seek out anti-inflammatory and some support from your local physician or physical therapist for some help on that. But it definitely is, it is real. So don't let anyone tell you it's not in your head. I'll say that. What age should you start hormones? That is an excellent question. And everybody's going to be different because everybody has different ages when their hormones start declining. If you want to average, the average age that women go through menopause, and menopause is the anniversary of 1 year without your period. So most women hit that anniversary of having 1 year without their periods, so their periods are done at around age 51. Perimenopause, the time of when your hormones are starting to drop and all these horrible symptoms are starting to happen, that happens around 10 to 15 years before that menopause day, that anniversary of 12 months without your period. So if it's 51, then it's going to be 36 when you start having that hormone decline. And this is the average. There are women who go through this much earlier. There are women who go through this later. I told you that I went through menopause twice. What does that even mean? Is that possible? How is that possible? Well, when I was 20 years old, before I was even old enough to buy a drink in a bar, I was diagnosed with primary ovarian failure. Now, today, we don't call it primary ovarian failure. We call it primary ovarian insufficiency. Both of those words mean that my ovaries had stopped working, similar to in menopause when your ovaries stop working. I was told I would never have children. I was told that I was going to deal with all the symptoms of menopause, likely have osteoporosis, likely be on heart medication for the rest of my life. And I did not know any better at the time. Nobody really counseled me on what was going on with my body, but they did offer me birth control pills and antidepressants. And this is the same situation that I see so many women in their late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, early 50s going through at their doctor's office. They're having these symptoms of hormone decline. They're no longer getting their period. They're being told their symptoms are all in their head and that's just getting older. That's the way things are. And that they need to be on these medications for their bones and their heart and their brain and their blood pressure and their cholesterol. But no one's really educating them on the symptoms are because your hormones are deficient. And then we need to look at that root cause and replace those hormones so that your body can then work the way it's supposed to, and you don't need all those medications. So the age, it could be 46. That is actually a great age. The age that I say is best to start hormone therapy is when you start feeling symptoms. And I 100% recommend you download that 99 symptom guide, because most doctors will tell you that hot flashes, vaginal dryness, and sexual dysfunction are what the symptoms of menopause are. And they're not going to look at the mental, emotional, anxiety, depression issues. They're not going to look at the joint pain. They're not going to look at the insulin resistance, all the weight gain, the hair loss, the skin aging, all the things are also menopause symptoms. These things are not FDA approved to be treated as menopause symptoms. So the only in doctors who are go by the book, they're only allowed to prescribe hormone replacement for severe hot flashes, for severe vaginal dryness, and for sexual dysfunction if it's determined to be debilitating to your life. And they usually will prescribe antidepressants first. More and more doctors are becoming more hormone literate. And now in 2024, more and more doctors are understanding that they need to offer hormone replacement therapy, but they're still a lot of times not offering all the solutions. And a lot of times they're not educating women on what's going on. And so, yes, I think that I see a lot of doctors, a lot of women come to me and tell me that their doctor said they cannot be on hormones because they haven't gone through menopause yet. And that's absolutely incorrect. The best time to treat a problem is when it starts to become a problem. Just like if you have a car and you're driving and you notice like the check engine light comes on. Well, the car is still running, but the check engine light is on because something needs to be addressed. That's when you go get it checked out. That's when you go get it fixed. You don't wait to be like stranded on the side of the road and then you're like, okay, I should call a mechanic. That's kind of what it's like to wait until you're actually in menopause. You've gone through the whole menopause transition and now you're menopausal to get hormone replacement. So absolutely 46 is a great age, especially if you are noticing some symptoms. You're noticing maybe the first symptoms that I often see a lot of times. I'm going to see some trouble sleeping. I'm going to see some irritability. I'm going to see some anxiety. I'm going to see some weight gain, some irregular periods. Things like that are usually like the first symptoms to happen because those are all related to that progesterone decline. And then, the hot flashes and night sweats, all kinds of things, the joint pain. There's so many symptoms, dry eyes, dry skin, allergies, blood sugar, blood pressure issues, all types of things can spring up. But yeah, definitely, I would say 46 is a great age if you're feeling like you're getting some symptoms. It's always great if you could start just topping off and getting optimal when you're first starting to decline. You don't need to be on a super high dose. You just need what you need to top it off, and then you'll never experience those symptoms. And more importantly, you won't have that deterioration to your bones and your brain and your heart, and you'll have the cancer protection. It's just so much better if you can start at an earlier age. And also making sure that you're living that healthy lifestyle, that you're not putting a lot of toxins in your body, that you are, eating healthy, clean, whole, real foods, organic when possible. You're avoiding all the like environmental toxins, the scented candles and the perfumes and all of those things, the parabens and the plastics and the phthalates. And then you're getting some exercise, you're doing some stress reduction, maybe meditation, maybe gratitude practices. All those things are so important to have in the big picture for your overall wellness. And because we're really trying to optimize our health. We all are going to age, right? We're all going to get older, but we can live better longer if we stay on top of all of our deficiencies and dysfunctions. And so, menopause, it's not a disease, it's simply a deficiency state. And so if we are deficient in thyroid hormone, we're going to get some thyroid medication. If we are deficient in insulin, we're going to get insulin. If we're deficient in vitamin D, we're going to recommend you take some vitamin D, right? So why is it when we're deficient in estrogen or progesterone, testosterone, that we're like, don't do that, like, don't do that, because it's so important. We have so many functions in our body that depend on these hormones. So why would we not want to top them off, replace them, restore them, and make them whole? Okay, what type of hormone testing do you use and why? I heard about 24-hour wet tests being the most accurate. So it depends on what you're testing for. So in our practice, we use a variety of tests for different things. So if somebody is still cycling and they're having either issues with fertility or they're having some weird symptoms during their period, we will actually use something called a cycle mapping test. That will be a dry urine test done over the course of the whole month. So there's usually like every few days they do a test, and then we're able to map their cycle. So that's a dry urine test. There's also a Dutch test, which is great if there's someone who is still cycling and they're having some symptoms of hormone excess, estrogen dominance, androgen dominance, things going on with their cortisol. So it's a great test to look at. Now, for hormone replacement therapy, if you've never been on hormones, a blood test is great to see where your levels are. If you're on oral hormones, a blood test is great to see how you're doing on those hormones. If you're on transdermal hormones, a saliva or dry blood spot is going to be great. I love the saliva test because it measures the free and available levels of hormones that are available for your body to use. It's also a very easy test. It's also inexpensive. And so there's a lot of great benefits to having a saliva test, but you can measure hormones in so many different ways. We actually offer most of those ways in our practice, everything from serum to urine to blood spot to saliva. So those are all ways that you can measure hormones, but it's usually like the reason why we're measuring hormones is when I'm going to be choosing that test. And for topical or transdermal hormones, which is what we always recommend for estrogen, or even sublingual hormones, the saliva or the dry blood spot is going to give you the most accurate depiction of what's going on in your body. The serum is only going to tell you what's in your serum, and a lot of times it's not, your transdermal hormones are not going to show up as well in the serum. So yeah, that's kind of how why I use those tests and why. We include the saliva or the dry blood spot in the Healthy Hormone Club, and then we also offer those tests on our website. All of them actually, the blood test, the urine test, and the saliva and the dry blood spot test. So we offer all of those. My favorite is the saliva test for that reason. Also, I'm not a big fan of blood draws. And so, it's a big pain in the butt to go in your car, go sit into this waiting room with a bunch of people who are sick and coughing and sneezing, and then you have to go get your blood drawn. And it's just this whole kind of scenario that is kind of hard to do. And especially as women, if we're still cycling, we want to test our hormones days like 19 to 21 of our cycle. And that can be a real pain in the butt to get an appointment during that time. And you want to test in the morning because that's when your testosterone is going to be the highest. And so all those things are going to be playing to why an at-home test is going to be more convenient. And so that's kind of why we do that. Yes. Do you need to wash out? Let's see. Do you need a washout period when switching from pellets to cream? It really depends on the person and what their natural hormone levels are. Pellets are super high dose hormones, and a lot of times you're getting that rush of hormones in the beginning, and then they're kind of dwindling out along the way, but you can still have significantly high levels of hormones even once the pellet is supposed to have been expired because they're super high doses. I would look at your symptoms. Are you having symptoms of hormone excess? And then are you having other symptoms of hormone deficiency? And we might have to do where maybe we don't give you any testosterone or DHEA, but you really need progesterone and a little bit of estrogen. So we might have to work with you on your hormone levels and then gradually change them as the pellet wears off a little bit more. But definitely we want to look at many women who come to us after pellets. They're having some serious health issues and some irritating symptoms like hair loss or belly fat gain or hair on their face or enlarged clitoris or deepening of their voice. And they really want to try to get those things taken care of or minimized as much as possible. And so, we will kind of work with them on their hormone dosing and then gradually step it up as we get further and further away from that pellet. Now, some women are able to just go right into a hormone dose after the pellet because it depends on what stage of life you're in, what you got in that pellet, how high that dose was, and how long it's been since the last insertion. So hopefully that's helpful. It's going to be pretty individualized. But the wonderful thing about using transdermal hormones or even a patch is that you're able to, or even sublingual oral progesterone, you're able to kind of like, you're taking it every day. So you're able to take less or take more or skip a day or adjust your dose on the fly. With a pellet, it's inserted into your body and it's that mega dose. And once it's in, there's nothing you can do to reduce your dose if you're having symptoms of hormone excess. And so, or even imbalance, right? So that's kind of like why I don't love the pellets. I do understand there's a convenience factor, but they're not really regulated. A lot of times you're getting a lot more hormones than they told you were getting. And I've seen just so many horror stories of some symptoms that are not reversible, like the deepening of the voice and the enlarged clitoris. Like those are things that probably are not going to be reversed, and they can be really devastating for some women. So they're with the hormone creams and gels and patches and sublinguals, like those are just going to be easy to modulate, and you're not going to have that risk of having those horrible side effects. Awesome. What is your take on the threshold of hormones to start before the age of 60? Is there any specificity within the 10 years of your period? So yeah, so I have talked about this before. I have a very strong opinion on this. So I believe there is no upper age limit on hormone replacement therapy. So there's no window. You're not too old. That window was actually developed back in the day when we were only using synthetic hormones. So estrogen was conjugated equine estrogen. So it's actually horse estrogen, like 17 different types of horse estrogen, none of which are human female estrogen, that was taken in an oral form. And then the progesterone was medroxyprogesterone acetate. Now, we still do use both of those hormones today, just not as commonly used. Like most doctors and practitioners are going to be not using oral estrogen, not using equine estrogen, and not using medroxyprogesterone acetate, but some of them still are. And with those hormones, they actually do have negative impact on the body because they are not biologically identical to the body. They are chemicals and they're actually endocrine disrupting. And so you only wanted to take those hormones for the least amount of time. And so there was actually a 10-year limit on how long you could take the hormones. And because the oral estrogen actually has increased risk for stroke and clotting because how it acts on the liver and creates these clotting factors and these enzymes called MMP9. Those actually act on cholesterol in the arteries and cause blockages and hardening of the arteries. So because of that, you didn't want to take that after age 60 because you're more likely to have heart disease, you're more likely to have issues with your venous system, you're more likely to have insulin resistance, diabetes, all of those things as you got older. And then adding in that dangerous synthetic oral hormone at that point was going to be more detrimental for you. Now, today, we have biologically identical hormones, both pharmaceutical, so you can get a prescription from your doctor, from a drug company that is going to make biologically identical hormones, or you can go to a compounding pharmacy and get biologically identical hormones, or you can come to us and get 100% natural plant-based bioidentical hormones with no extra crap in it. But those are all, if you're using transdermal, so through the skin, they're not going to cause any of those clotting factors. They're not going to have any of those side effects. And so there is no upper age limit. We're not using the conjugated equine estrogen. Never use oral estrogen. So no matter who you go to, if you go to a doctor and they want to prescribe you oral estrogen, refuse it, say thank you very much, and try to get someone else to help you with your hormones. Now, oral progesterone is okay. Oral micronized progesterone, not medroxyprogesterone acetate, not any other words in there, just oral micronized progesterone is okay to take orally. Some women don't get as much benefit because of if they have digestive issues, if they have issues with their liver, doesn't absorb as well. So I really like sublingual progesterone or transdermal progesterone, sometimes a combination of the two. But oral progesterone will not cause an issue as long as it's biologically identical. So that was a long answer to a short question. So no, there is no upper age limit. We have women who are in their 70s and 80s in our program on their hormones, improving their osteoporosis, improving their DEXA scans, improving their cholesterol numbers, improving their heart health, improving their insulin resistance, improving their brain health, just feeling better, looking younger, being more active. And so all of their longevity markers, all of their health markers, their C-reactive protein, which is a marker of inflammation, they're all improving. And so there's only benefit to using properly dosed and properly delivered hormones. So too much hormone is going to cause just as much problems as too little hormone. Hormones are like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are working with someone that understands, that we're getting some guidance, and that we are, not overdoing it. But we're not doing too little either, because too little is not going to give you that benefit that you need. So, but you can definitely step it in. You can go start small, then increase your dose until you get to the point where you feel well. So there's not just one way to do it. Some women are very, they're more conservative and they may be super sensitive to chemicals and supplements and things like that and herbs. And so they might want to start with a super low dose. And we always meet people where they're at and only give them what they need and start with a low dose. And then once their body's used to that, we can increase more. And sometimes that method might take a little longer to resolve all your symptoms. But if it gives you peace of mind and you feel better about it, I'm all for it. And so everyone needs to like kind of have their own hormone journey. And some women are just like, give me all the hormones, give me all of them. And we'll meet you where you're at. Absolutely. We're only going to give you what you actually need. But some people do need more and some people need less. It's two equal weight, equal height, equally healthy women might need like vast, like dramatically different doses just for how their body absorbs it, what their body needs. We all have different optimal levels. Like there's a range for like estrogen, and some women feel great kind of at the lower end of the range, and some women feel great at the upper end of the range. Some women feel great in the middle. And these are going to be women are all different doses of hormones, and it's all okay as long as they have adequate optimal levels for them. It's going to still protect their bones. It's going to still protect their brains. It's still going to make them feel amazing. And so it's not just a one size fits all. Okay, so next question. Oh, wait, let me see. Let's see. Yep. Half an hour. We're going to give away a prize. So, all right, we're going to go into the chat and I want you to, let me see. My son usually does a joke, but I didn't come prepared with any jokes. So I'm just going to have you guys put we'll do what your pet's name is, and we're just gonna randomly pick somebody. So if you have a pet, let me know if you have a dog, cat, rabbit, bird, whatever you have, and what your pet's name is. And then we're gonna let that go for a couple of minutes. And then Shauna, um, if you're able to, if you could pick somebody for me, um, and let me know, like if you could unmute yourself and like announce the winner, that would be awesome. So if you can't do that, let me know in the chat, and maybe Jen could do it. If you can't, I don't know if you're in a place where you can do that, but that'd be super fun if you can. All right, awesome. So we're gonna give
So
away
Renee Bailey has
oh,
her precious dog named Juno.
oh my God, Juno. So it's so awesome. So it was Renee, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna do a bottle of Daily Glow, which is my all-time favorite supplement. It's our all-in-one multivitamin, multi-nutrient, has adrenal support, thyroid support, hormone detox support, all your vitamins and minerals, has like your adaptogenic herbs. It has chromium, it has genema, which is going to be great for like sugar cravings. So this is the one supplement I cannot be without. Well, this and then glutathione, which is like the nighttime. So I definitely like I am like a little bit irritable if I don't have these supplements. So Renee, all you have to do is email us at support@Glow Natural Wellness. Let us know that you and Juno won Daily Glow on our hormone happy hour master or our little menopause Q&A. And all you have to do is you want to give us your address where we can send the daily glow off to you. So you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to jump through any hoops, no forms to fill out. Just email us at support@glownaturalwellness.com. Let us know your name, your address, and tell them that you're on here with me tonight. You want a bottle of Daily Glow. And so go ahead and give Juno a hug for me. And we'll go ahead and we'll give more giveaways in a little bit. So I'm going to try to space them out a little bit. But thank you, Shauna, for helping me with that, because sometimes it's hard for me to go through the chat at the same time. Awesome. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. Hope you guys are all doing amazing. All right, so next question is I used BHRT years ago and it worked great for me until I was getting fat pockets in the areas that I was applying it. Why is that? If I use a different cream, if I use, I have to use different creams, I have to alternate areas to know that I have used two or three of them, then what is going to happen to my skin. So I don't know what cream you're using, but there are some creams that are not like USP verified and they're not formulated in a way to fully absorb into the tissues. And that sounds like that's what might have been happening, that it might have been like consolidating into one area because it should not do that. If you're applying to areas of thin skin, so areas that do not have a lot of hair follicles, so we're talking about your inner forearms, your inner thighs, behind your knee, your lower abdomen, it could be your chest area. So those are all some good areas to apply hormone creams. You don't really have to alternate. I always just do my forearms, to be 100% honest, and I've been doing that for years. And you should not have like any weird deposits. To me, that is probably some chemicals that might have been in those creams that were acting weird in your body. If they're 100% pure, bioidentical hormones with no weird chemical additives in them, then it should not cause any problems. We've never had that situation happen with our hormone creams. And yeah, so it's likely something that was in the product that was not working well for you. Let's see. I enjoy your products and all you do for menopause. Oh, thank you. Despite having a healthy diet and moderate workouts, I struggle with weight loss. What could you recommend for weight loss? So, the first thing I'm gonna say, if you are like truly eating, I know like everyone says like healthy, but that can mean different things for different people. If you're eating the right macronutrients for your body, and I don't really know what those are, but a great place to start is 40% 40% protein, 40% carbs and 30% fat. That's a great place to start. That's a very average kind of like across the board. If you're doing that and you're exercising, then I would say that you may have one of a few things happening. Number one, you could have a thyroid insufficiency. So that could be something that could be treated with like selenium and zinc or a thyroid glandular or possibly thyroid medications. That could be one issue. You also might have hormone imbalance. So when your estrogen drops, you become more of a fat storage machine, especially if you're getting fat around your midsection. So that could be the issue, or it could also be some toxicity that you have going on, heavy metal toxicity, mold toxicity. A lot of times, what our body does, it actually tries to protect us from this danger of this toxin by enveloping it in fat and then also by protecting us and making sure that we have enough fat stores for if we get too weak to go hunt for food, because our body thinks that we're still cavemen because that's how we are made. So our body doesn't realize that like if we're starting to get ill, that we're just going to be able to order DoorDash and the food's going to come to us. It thinks that we have to go hunt for it. So it could be some heavy metal toxicity or some mold toxicity. So what I would do is I would start trying to like eliminate possibilities of what it can be. I don't know if you have any symptoms like gut symptoms or allergies or skin rashes or hair loss or any symptom that might help clue into some other thing going on. If you have cold hands and feet, if you have hair loss, if you're tired, that could all be thyroid related. If you have like chemical sensitivity, if you get rashes, if you can get acne, if you have like sore joints and things like that, then that could be mold toxicity or heavy metal toxicity. So you can do some testing to figure it out. We do offer at Glow Natural Wellness what we call like a case review. And that is where we'll kind of go through like a whole functional medicine intake. We'll kind of map your symptoms out, and then you'll meet with one of our functional health coaches, and they'll kind of lay out a plan for you. Lifestyle, diet, exercise, stress reduction, detoxification, and possibly recommend some testing to see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, one of the symptoms of menopause is weight gain. You're gonna see, if you look back at like old timey photos, like from either from the 60s or even from like the 1920s, you see everyone was kind of thin back then. Like there wasn't like all this excess food, but the one person in the family in the black and white photos that was a little chubby was usually grandma because she was in menopause. And so her body is actually like making more fat. Your body actually makes estrone, which is the very weak form of estrogen. But when you are totally out of estrogen, it will actually preferentially make more estrone because it's trying to like give you some estrogen. And so that it's like kind of working against us. In a survival standpoint, it's great because the more fat you have, the longer you can live without food. But in a 2024, we want to look good in our clothes standpoint. It's not the best look, right? It's not like what we want. And so, yeah, those are just a couple things to think about. It's not always the hormones, but if you are over 45 and you are a woman, then chances are like hormone decline is playing into it, especially if you're a person who's like, this is how I've always eaten, this is how I've always exercised, and all of a sudden, boom, your hormone or your fat stores are kicking up, then it could be hormone related. And when I say hormone related, I mean estrogen, I mean progesterone. And that is also related to your thyroid because low progesterone also puts a strain on your thyroid and can lower your thyroid function as well. So I actually had a woman that I worked with who was on thyroid medication, and she's been on thyroid medication like all through her 30s, and then she started to feel a lot of thyroid symptoms, started gaining weight, started feeling cold all the time, was losing some hair, started losing her eyebrows. And so her doctor raised her thyroid medication, but she started getting like heart palpitations. And so she didn't know what to do, but we noticed that her hormones were declining. So I'm like, well, why don't we support your hormones? Because they're part of your endocrine system. So your thyroid, your ovaries, your adrenals, those are all part of your endocrine system, which is your hormone system. And they all kind of are friends and kind of support each other. And so once we were able to optimize her progesterone, she didn't need a thyroid, the increase in her thyroid hormone. She was able to go back to that original dose of thyroid hormone that she'd been on since she was in her 30s. And her weight started dropping, her hair stopped falling out. She stopped feeling cold all the time. So she started having less of those low thyroid symptoms because her progesterone was balanced and that was supporting her thyroid. So it all is interconnected. So sometimes it's hard for me to sit here and say, like I might say like, oh yeah, it's due to menopause or it's due to hormone decline. And it sounds like I'm just blaming everything on the hormones, but the hormones do affect so many other things in the body. So it could be downstream thyroid, but root cause progesterone loss. And so that's always something to think about. Okay, what causes breast tissue? What causes dense breast tissue? And what is the best way to deal with it? Does chocolate really contribute to it? My sisters and my mother also have dense breast tissue. So you almost answered your own question there because it's actually genetic. So some people just have denser breast tissue than others. Dense breast tissue in and of itself is not a risk factor for anything, but does make it a little harder for them to do like breast exams on you. So that's why you might hear that it's a risk factor because it's harder for them to do like mammograms on you. I don't even recommend mammograms because they actually cause more harm than good. And it's really just part of this money making machine of the hospital to get more women on breast cancer treatment. And it doesn't really serve the purpose. We haven't seen any decrease in cancer rates or decrease in um, lives lost due to cancer as we've increased the mammograms. That early detection saves lives is not actually true. Early detection actually causes more women to have mastectomies unnecessarily, more women to be on these hormone reducing medications that are actually causing heart disease and diabetes and dementia and all these other issues as a result of being on these hormone suppressing medications because they had a mammogram that falsely looked like they had breast cancer. And so what we're understanding now and what we've seen from many studies over the past 10 years is that women who are on hormone replacement therapy for at least some part of their life actually have lower incidences of breast cancer, lower risk of reoccurrence, and a better outcome should they be one of those 1 in 7 women to get breast cancer. They actually have better survivability if they've been on hormones. Also, women who have been pregnant multiple times, who have had more times in their life when they've had high levels of estrogen, they also have more protection against cancer. So I know you didn't ask about cancer, but I know that when we talk about dense breast tissue, that's always the fear and the reason behind it. So just so you know, it is very much hereditary. You can get some more breast tenderness when you eat inflammatory foods, not necessarily chocolate in and of itself. So if you do like a fair trade, lower sugar, dark chocolate, not going to cause any issues. If you do like a Hershey bar with high fructose corn syrup and lots of sugar and conventional dairy, that's going to be more inflammatory, and any inflammatory foods will kind of make the breast tissue more swollen and can make it feel worse and be more dense. So hopefully that's helpful. Awesome. All right, let's see. I bought your hormone trio test and haven't yet done it. I have a question about the questionnaire. I have an urging incontinence and take Julva, and it resolved for about a month. A month ago, do I mark that I'm having urging incontinence or not on the form? I would just do I would mark down what you're using on the form because there's a spot for like what you're taking, and then note what you're currently experiencing. So we'll see. And then when we do your results, you're going to actually get a consultation. You can discuss that with the hormone specialist, and we'll take that all into account. And so, yes, do not worry about it. But yeah, so make sure if you're still cycling that you do the test during that window when your hormones are going to be at the highest. So between day 19 and 21, if you have a regular cycle. If you have a much shorter cycle, then you're going to take it like day 18, 19. If you have a longer cycle, you're going to do 21, 22. If you're not sure, just email our support or call us on our toll-free line, and we're happy to walk you through when to do that test. A great question. Yeah, it's always good to ask. Can you explain the GI map test? I'm interested in that. Awesome. So the GI map test is a gut microbiome mapping test. So it's going to look at your gut microbiome. It's a PCR test, so it's looking at the genetics of the microbes in your gut to identify, do you have all of the good bacteria you're supposed to have? Do you have any bad bacteria? It's okay to have some. Are those good and bad bacteria balanced? There's something called commensal bacteria, which is bacteria that can be good or can be bad. So is that bacteria behaving? We're going to look at some yeast. We're going to look at some pathogens like parasites, bacterial issues, viruses that can all be lurking in your gut, as well as like inflammatory markers. We're going to look at markers of estrogen detox, and then we're also going to look at some gluten sensitivity markers called zonulin. If you add that on, and that is going to tell us if you have possible leaky gut. So there's a lot of great information on that test that can really help you to optimize your immune health, optimize your gut health and your digestion, improve your nutrient absorption, improve your estrogen detox, improve thyroid function, improve brain health and mood. We know that our gut is kind of the window to pretty much everything in our body. It's very much connected to how we feel mentally and emotionally, very much connected to allergies and food sensitivities, very much connected to hormone detox, very much connected to inflammation overall. And so great test. One of my favorites. It is a stool test, so not like the funnest test to do, but you do have to collect a stool sample in the comfort of your own home. You put that in the little test kit. It comes with a little package to send it back, not to my house, but to the lab. So you send it back to the lab then sends us your results, and we go over those with you, kind of map out a plan of action, let you know, hey, this is what was found, this is what it means. here's what you want to do. We give you some lifestyle tips, some supplement tips. If possible, you might need some antimicrobial or anti-yeast or anti-virals. And so if you need any of that, we work on that. And then we work on restoring proper balance to your gut. So if you did have some imbalances, how do we get the good stuff back in and balance it out? And one of the really cool side effects of having a balanced gut is sometimes like much easier time with weight loss. Your gut microbiome balance alone can contribute to whether you're easily putting on weight or whether you're able to eat the same amount of food and be slim and trim. And so it is really eye-opening. And it's a great amount of information. You learn so much if you do that test because you're going to get a huge education as well, just about what's going on inside your body. So yeah, great test. Highly recommend it. It is a little bit pricey and is, a stool test, so it's not the most fun to do, but it is totally worth it. Believe me, it's a great test. Let's see, can bioidentical hormones help normalize high blood pressure? They can indirectly because of the mechanism of lowering inflammation and also the mechanism of your blood vessels becoming more flexible and also reducing things like cholesterol and blockages in your blood vessels. And so it's not a direct lowering. It's not estrogen lowers blood pressure, but it's all the impacts of having optimal levels of your hormones can affect you by lowering your blood pressure or lowering high blood pressure, to say. So it's not going to lower healthy blood pressure. It's going to, if you have high blood pressure, it can help to normalize that blood pressure. If you have normal blood pressure, it's going to keep it normal. If you have low blood pressure, I haven't really seen that being a benefit of hormone replacement therapy, but definitely reversing hypertension or high blood pressure absolutely can definitely help. Okay, what to do for painful sex? Try bioidentical hormones, laser on that area, pelvic floor therapy. Problem with facial hair and urine urgent, left breast pain, worked up US mammogram, have cyst on report, and dense breast. Okay, there's a lot of questions, but let me tackle them one by one. So painful sex. All right, so you've tried bioidentical hormones. Looks like you did some type of laser rejuvenation and some pelvic floor therapy. Those are all amazing things. Sometimes painful sex can be a dryness issue. Sometimes it can be an anatomical issue. So it can be like maybe you have a curved canal, or maybe it's just sensitive tissues. So I would definitely look at vaginal estrogen as a immediate solution. So whether you're working with a practitioner and they want to prescribe you a vaginal estrogen, we also have a product called Glow with estrogen, which is a vaginal hydrating and rejuvenation serum that has estrogen that is delivered locally to the area. So it's not going to go systemic to your whole body because it's a lower dose. So it's just a dose that's available to stay in the vaginal tissues. So that's a great option. Definitely continue working with a pelvic floor therapist. They might be able to help you adjust and see if there's any, anatomical or structural reasons why you're experiencing that pain. And all that can be definitely helpful. Now, problem with facial hair, and urine urgency. So the urine urgency is also going to be helped by something like Glow or vaginal estrogen. So that those two together can also be helpful. But the urinary urgency also can be a sign of a structural issue, something pressing on your bladder, perhaps. Some people just were born with their organs kind of like lopsided or tilted, and that can cause some pressure and some pain. And so your pelvic floor PT should be able to assess that and let you know if that's actually the issue. And if it is, she can usually help you with some exercises to, you know, um, it's kind of stretch out areas that need to be stretched out, kind of like settle things in. Sometimes it's a ligament being tight that needs to be kind of relaxed. And so all those things can be super helpful. And then the other thing was the facial hair. That facial hair can sometimes be hereditary, especially if you are Italian or Hispanic or from certain regions of the world where they have just hairier people. My family is Italian, and so my mom always had hairs on her chin. And so the one thing you can do if it's just a genetic thing, not a hormone thing, you can definitely get some laser hair removal or electrolysis or do dermaplaning. So there's lots of things you can do to remove it right now. Sometimes hair on the face can be a result of androgen dominance. So this is where your testosterone levels stay normal, but your estrogen and progesterone decline. So this is super common for women as they enter perimenopause and menopause. Their estrogen and progesterone are dropping off, but their testosterone stays, maybe it doesn't drop off yet, even if it drops a little bit, but not as much as your estrogen and progesterone. That can cause facial hair, can cause hair loss on the head, can cause belly fat, cause acne, can cause irritability. So all those things are kind of androgen dominance. That could be a possibility of what's causing that as well. So replacing your estrogen and progesterone, doing some vaginal estrogen, working with the pelvic floor PT, seeing if there's any structural or anatomical reasons for the painful sex, and sticking with that vaginal estrogen for a good amount of time, making sure you're using it daily, sometimes twice a day. Always make sure you're using a lubricant. Anyone over the age of 40, if you're having intercourse, lubricant's a really good idea. It makes it better for everybody. And so definitely always want to make sure you're using the lubricant when you're having sex because it's going to make it more comfortable for everybody, especially you. So hopefully that's helpful. I don't know if I missed anything in that question. I think I got it all. Oh, the cyst and the dense breast. So cysts are pretty normal. A lot of times those are issues with, they don't have to be cancerous or anything. Most cysts are not cancerous. A lot of times they are there because they're there's some toxicity and your body's trying to form that cyst around it to protect you from it. Sometimes it's just hereditary. Sometimes it's due to trauma or a blow to the chest or some inflammation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be cancerous, and it doesn't really have to be a factor for whether or not you're going to use hormone replacement therapy. Sometimes using hormone replacement therapy can help. Another thing that is helpful for dense breasts and cysts is castor oil packs. So castor oil is something that's been used in naturopathic medicine for centuries. And so applying castor oil to the area and then putting a cotton cloth or a wool cloth over it and just letting it sit. Sometimes you can apply some heat. That can help start to break down some of that dense tissue and breaks down like fibroids and cysts. And so it can be super helpful. And then another thing that you're going to want to do if you do have dense breasts, you do notice cysts, you want to avoid any deodorants that have aluminum in them because you have a lot of lymph nodes right here in your underarms. And if you apply deodorant to them and antiperspirant, especially has aluminum, but even if it's just antiperspirant and you're wearing it all the time, it can be blocking your body's natural detox and it could be causing those lymph nodes to be holding onto toxins, and it directly connects with your breast tissue. And so those toxins can be going into your breast tissue. So you could do an armpit detox. You can actually Google that. It's like bentonite clay and some other like herbs that you can put. You make a little paste, you put it on your arms, and it pulls out the toxins. So that's just a little thing you can do along with the castor oil packs to kind of have a self-care ritual at home that can help. All right, I'm going to do another prize. So this time, so we've been talking a little bit about weight loss for some people. I'm going to go ahead and do goddess drops. These are it's a herbal tincture that has nootropics, so amino acids and nootropics for your brain health, but also has some great herbs for helping curb cravings, helping your metabolism, helping with fat breakdowns, lipolysis. So actually helping your body to do its normal process of breaking down fat just more efficiently. So you just do a little tincture. So you just put it in, you can put it straight in your mouth like that, or you can put it into water, or some people put it in their coffee. And so it's called goddess drops, and they're absolutely amazing. So this time we're gonna go back to the chat. So get ready. I'm going to have you guys put in the chat. Um, how do we see? All right, how many, if you have children, how many children? If you don't have children, zero. So you're gonna put that in the chat, and we are going to have Jen this time, if you're available, Jen, pick a winner. What you guys give them a couple seconds to get in the chat. So you're just gonna put a number. It's gonna be 0 if you have no children, 1 if you have 1 child, 2 if you have 2 children, 5 if you have 5 kids. Yeah. Hopefully no more. I don't know, maybe some people have 7. Let's see. We got a lot of people have kids. Oh, I gotta scroll. Oh, did I see a 6? I think I saw a 6. Oh my goodness, Melanie. I have 1, and I do not know how you guys with multiple kids do it sometimes. 'Cause I'm like, I feel like I have my hands full with 1. But maybe if I was gonna have lots of kids, I would just have like 1 and then wait like 10 years and have the rest of them so that 1 could be my babysitter.
That's awesome. So I did a little scroll and then I just looked at the first name that caught my eye. So Lisa Wickman with 5 kiddos.
Oh my gosh, Lisa, you definitely need some guys jobs. This is going to give you some energy too. So, so you keep up with all the kids. So, Lisa, what you want to do is you want to email support at glownaturalwellness.com. You want to say, hey, this is Lisa. Give us your last name too. Let us know that you won goddess drops tonight on our menopause Q&A, and let us know what your address is so we can ship the bottle out to you. Okay. Again, you don't have to fill out any forms. You don't have to buy anything. We just want to congratulate you for being here, and hopefully you'll enjoy the goddess drops. I love these. I take them every day. I have a bottle in my purse. I have a bottle on my kitchen counter, and I have a bottle on my desk usually. So this is my personal bottle here. So you see, I'm not going to send you this one. I'm going to send you a brand new one in the bubble wrap. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see how you guys do. We've been going for about an hour. Everyone's still cool. We're going to keep answering questions. I'm going to try to, I have slated for another hour that I can be here, and then I have to go see grandma and my son. But so I'm going to keep answering questions as long as you have questions. Once all the questions are done, we can all go. But if you've had your question answered and you want to go, have the rest of your night, I am not offended at all. But I'm going to keep answering questions. And this is recorded, just so you know. I know some people it's getting late for them, or some people it's like the middle of the night for them. So feel free. I'm going to try to send the replay out sometime tomorrow, because after that I'm going to be out of town and I don't know when I'll get it out. So look in your emails tomorrow if you want to catch the replay, and also get that link to Healthy Hormone Club as well. Okay, here we go. Can the hormone program lower blood pressure and help you lose weight? I have been on the program for about 5 months. I have lost 8 pounds and my blood pressure is down also. That's amazing. Congratulations. So yes, you actually answered your own question, because yes, hormone replacement therapy, specifically toxin-free hormone replacement therapy, can really help with that weight gain that happens as a result of the insulin resistance, as a result of the inflammation, as a result of the androgen dominance, and then also can help lower your blood pressure because of the improvements to the heart health, the flexibility of your arteries and veins, the breakdown of the cholesterol. So all these things are definitely helping. And congratulations, that's really great that just from restoring your hormones, you were able to make those changes. And the other reason why indirectly you could improve both your blood pressure and your weight when being on hormones is because you're going to be sleeping better. You're going to have so much energy. You're going to feel good. So you're going to want to do more stuff. You're going to go for that walk. You're going to have the wherewithal to make healthier foods, because I'll tell you, I know, because I was living in that state of complete hormone deficiency when I was in my 20s, and I had no energy. This is when everyone should have all the energy in the world, but I had no energy. I did not have the patience follow a recipe or cook something. I definitely didn't want to be going to the gym, and everything irritated me. So I didn't have patience for anything, definitely not following a nutrition plan. And so just the fact that you're feeling calm and collected, and you've slept and you have energy and you can think straight and the brain fog's gone, like that alone can help you with weight loss and lowering your blood pressure and improving so many other things like relationships, so many things. So congratulations. And yes, definitely it can help. And that kind of helps answer that other person's question that I answered earlier, because you actually are living proof that it does happen. So awesome. Okay, let's see. I was taking oral progesterone daily and estradiol vaginally twice a week. My progesterone level was 2.9, which is extremely high. Depending on what you're measuring it on, it doesn't sound that high, but maybe for not taking hormones, it might be high. I started just taking progesterone twice a week, and my blood level is now within normal level. However, I spotted for 5 days after not having a period for several years. I had an ultrasound and it came back negative. My provider suggested that I stopped taking estrogen for a while. Oh, I didn't see the estrogen. Let's see. Oh, estradiol vaginally. So depending on your dose of estradiol vaginally, it may or may not be making your blood levels higher, because if you're doing like a lower dose vaginal, then it's just going to stay in your vaginal tissue. But if you're doing high dose vaginal, then it can definitely impact your systemic levels. 2.9 does not seem very high. It's high for someone who's not on hormones, but there's a different range for someone who's taking hormone replacement therapy. So you might want to revisit that with your doctor. I would definitely just, if I were you, if you felt good on the progesterone, I would keep doing the progesterone and the estrogen. And the reason why you spotted it's because basically when you reduce your progesterone, you have that withdrawal bleed. So that's probably what's happening. It is pretty normal if you're changing hormone dosing. You're making any change to your dose that you can have a little bleed. It's not a sign of cancer, and it's not abnormal at all. If you are, but you're probably not having enough progesterone to balance out the estrogen. That could be. I did not see what your estrogen levels were. So that I don't know, but I would definitely just personally, if I were you, I'd probably go back to your progesterone and estrogen dose together where you felt good and it didn't seem to be causing any problems. I do believe that your level is likely a level for someone who's not on any hormones, not a hormone replacement range. Let's see, is it reasonable to use bias cream 3 to 4 times a day to control hot flashes? You really don't need to use it 3 or 4 times a day if you're using enough. We do have some women use twice a day, so you might just need to increase your dose in the morning and evening. It should last you like those 12 hours. So possibly it's not absorbing well if you think you have to use it more, or you're just not using the right dose. So I would just start by increasing the dose in the morning and the evening and seeing if that twice a day is what works for you. See, I'm 52. Oh, wait. Yep, I did answer that one. I'm 52 and I'm still having periods, although the last one was longer than a 28-day cycle before it started. Do you think I can still get pregnant in the next year, or should I start looking at adoption options? So if you're still having regular cycles, with the exception of this last one, then yes, you can still get pregnant more than likely. You can do some things. You can check like your AMH, and you can check your LH and your FSH and to see things like that. But it sounds like you are still cycling. So yeah, you can still get pregnant if that's what you want to do. But I would definitely probably, if you are not successful right away, I would probably start banking your eggs, just because you're still cycling, you're still releasing eggs right now. So I would just like freeze a few, see if you can do that, and go from there, and then just try normally. Like I said, 51 is the average age of menopause. So there's some people 58, 59, they're still getting periods. Not very common, but it can happen. So yeah, I think that you're still okay to definitely try to get pregnant if that's what you're into. You're just going to be you're gonna need a lot of energy, so you're gonna need these goddess drops when you have that kid. Awesome. Yeah. Just because the age is just a number, it's really gonna be where your reproductive level is. So interesting story about fertility and menopause is they're actually doing some research right now where they're using platelet-rich plasma therapy, or PRP, on the ovaries of women who have already been through menopause. And they still have because what happens is we don't use all of our eggs. We just lose you lose the ability to release all the eggs. So we still have some eggs left, even when we go through menopause. So they actually have been doing these studies to see if they can reverse menopause and get those last few eggs to release and get these women pregnant. So they did, it's a very small study. So it was like 50 women. 25 of them were able to actually release some eggs. I think like one got pregnant. But the reason I'm telling you this is because it's really, really fascinating to think that we can reverse, at least temporarily, menopause to get those last few eggs out. And then the downside in the study, like they're like, the negative impact of the study is that these women had to go through menopause again. So they had to go through this decline again, because when the eggs are releasing, you're also releasing hormones as well. So it is kind of a reversal of menopause. This is not a large study. It hasn't been like FDA approved or anything like that. It's not a surgery that you can get at the moment, but it is fascinating to me, especially someone who is diagnosed with ovarian failure at age 20 and then went on to naturally have a baby, and my cycles came back. Like basically I was told, no, your ovaries are done, you're in menopause. And then through like diet and lifestyle and a lot of prayer, I was able to get my cycles back later in life, because it was actually a misdiagnosis. It was just ovarian insufficiency. But there's a really interesting thing, because a lot of women go through early menopause or premature menopause. And maybe these new developments of using platelet-rich plasma therapy to reinvigorate the ovaries can help to release those eggs again and get the system moving again, which is absolutely fascinating. So I kind of went on a tangent, but I do a lot of just reading and reading research. And I really, sometimes I come across a study like this that is just like, wow, just makes you think. And it's very, very exciting that more and more research is now being invested on women's health and fertility over 40 and anti-aging therapies and menopause. And so pretty exciting stuff. Let's see, how do you decide the correct dose when you are, let's see, I'm sorry. How do you decide what the correct dose when you took care of hot flashes, but not brain fog? Would you keep increasing the dose until clear mind is achieved? Hmm. I guess I'd also have to rule out any other reasons for brain fog. There could be some nutritional deficiencies. Omega-3s is a big one that a lot of people like. I think it's like 78% of people are, or no, it's like 90% of women over 40 are deficient in omega-3s. So definitely look at omega-3 deficiency, look at vitamin D deficiency, look at amino acids and protein, look at how much sleep you're getting. So I look at those things before just trying to increase estrogen, but I would also look at your labs for your estrogen. Are you at the high end of the normal range already? Chances are, if you don't have any other low estrogen symptoms, chances are that's not the reason for the brain fog. It can also be things like mold. It could be things like toxicity, heavy metal, mercury toxicity. It's a big one that we see. This like the brain fog is overwhelming. And so all those things can definitely come into play. So I would caution against keeping to increase the estrogen, because too much estrogen can also give you side effects as well. So I would kind of try to rule out other things first, but also run your lab, see where you're at with your estrogen, and see if you do have a little more room to push it. And if you do, you can try, but just keep mindful that you don't have any new symptoms come up as a result of the higher level of estrogen. If you still have a uterus, you're also going to want to increase your progesterone as well. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Okay, what do you recommend for drastically shrunken breasts, bad joint pain, blood sugar issues, loss of collagen, especially if you're low income? Could this be hormone poverty? Yes, so absolutely all the symptoms that you recommend or that you mentioned, the breast volume decrease, the joint pain, the blood sugar issues, the loss of collagen, Those are all related to hormone deficiency or hormone decline. If you email our support line and let us know about your situation, we do have some assistance programs that we offer, especially around this time of year, for women who are low income who really need some support with their hormones. And so if you email us at support@glownaturalwellness, just let us know a little bit about what you're experiencing and what you're dealing with financially, and we can definitely support you. We do have some room in our budget to support women who are struggling financially but need this life-saving hormone balance. And so it's near and dear to my heart. It's not something I advertise because, and I'm even saying it right here on this Q&A, which is kind of, I guess, publicizing it, but I don't talk about it a lot because the only way I'm able to allow for this lower income program is that I need some people to also be paying the regular price or even the sale price of our Healthy Hormone Club so that I can afford to support people and kind of donate hormones to them. So hopefully that makes sense. So I don't want everybody saying that they have income problems and like, who don't. And so, but yes, we do have some systems in place and some mechanisms in place. We are very much community minded, where I feel like every woman should have access to hormone help, education, support, and even hormones. So definitely reach out to us and see if we can help you. See, when would you do a saliva test in terms of timing using BioS cream 3 times a day? So you want to do it between 8 to 12 hours of your last dose. So you want to not use it 3 times a day. So if you go to sleep, you're going to do your bedtime dose, and then when you wake up, you're going to do your test before you do your next dose. I actually don't recommend 3 times a day, but if that's what's working for you, I'm going to say go for it because everybody's different and that might be what you need. So I would just maybe recommend, like I said, increasing the dose of each instead of breaking it up 3 times, increasing the dose, and that should work for you. But definitely, if you're going to do the test, you want like 8 to 12 hours, sometimes 12 to 24 hours, but I think that's too long. So that 12-hour range is kind of the sweet spot. Progesterone, I like to do a little bit earlier, between 8 and 12. Estrogen, around 12 hours is a great amount of time. So just when you go to sleep, you're going to take your hormones at your nighttime dose, whatever time you usually do, and then start counting the hours after that dose, go to sleep, and then in the morning, before you do any hormones, you're going to do that test. Make sure if you're using a cream that you're like making sure you're washing your hands really well. Make sure if you're sleeping, you're not like sleeping like this, and that's where you put your cream. So I always usually recommend applying your creams to the lower half of your body in the week leading up to your test, just to make sure you're not contaminating anything. And that just is sometimes makes you get a better result. Let's see. Can one take HRT in place of osteoporosis medications if one has osteoporosis in both hip and spine in menopause? So, while I am not authorized to give you medical advice in this format, and I also would never tell anyone to stop taking a medication that their doctor has specifically prescribed to them, if it were me, I'd want to know that osteoporosis medications typically, like bisphosphonates, typically do not make your bones stronger. They actually make your bones weaker. And so you'll see the side effects of these medications. If you look at the product insert or you look at the information card, the side effects are fracture. It's because your bones are not actually getting weaker. They're getting like the shell of like a support. And so I would absolutely recommend estrogen replacement if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, because that is the #1 primary helper of osteoporosis. It's the primary reason for women to have decreased bone density is lack of estrogen. There's also some other reasons that you can have bone density issues. It could be malnutrition or nutrient deficiencies. It could also be a sedentary lifestyle, so not doing any weight-bearing exercises. But your best scenario is going to be estrogen replacement therapy in a dose that is significant enough to produce that benefit of that bone building, which is going to be somewhere around between 0.25 to 0.5 milligrams of estradiol at the low end of the range. Then you're going to want to do some strength training, some resistance training. It could be body weight if you've never worked out before, or if you're already somewhat fit, you're going to want to do some weights that are going to be difficult for you on that 13th rep, so that you're actually putting some stress against the bone. You're going to want to make sure you're eating enough protein, because the whole like scaffolding of your bone is made out of protein. And you're going to want to make sure that you're eating a wide variety of colorful fruits and vegetables, so you get all your vitamins and minerals, possibly taking like a multi-nutrient like a Daily Glow to help support those mineral and all those nutrients that you're needing. But yes, estrogen replacement is going to be your best bet. Should you do it instead of taking the bone medication? That's going to have to be your own personal decision, but I do highly recommend reading the side effects of that medication, and that might help you make that decision. So hopefully that's helpful. Do you recommend progesterone cycling without initiating a period, taking breaks from progesterone several days a month while continuing with estrogen? So actually, we do different things for different people. So the minimum days required on progesterone, if you still have a uterus, is going to be a minimum of 12 days out of the month. So some women have some reasons why they don't want to take progesterone every day. Could be because they might have some sensitivity, they might have some water retention. Some women just don't want to take more than they need to. But progesterone has a lot of benefits. So it's not just for uterine protection. It also is beneficial for your thyroid, for your brain health, for your skin, your hair. So progesterone has a lot of good benefits, your mood, just so many great things, sleep. And so I actually think taking progesterone most days of the month is great. We do sometimes recommend taking 3 to 5 days off at the end of the month, just to give your body a little break, how it naturally would have had that when you are cycling. That's true for estrogen and progesterone. So when we're still cycling, the last few days of your cycle and the first few days of your cycle, your hormones are really very minimal. And so if you want to mimic that with hormone replacement, then you're just going to take like 5 days off your hormone replacement at the end of the month to kind of mimic what your body was doing before. However, it's not necessary, and some women will actually notice they start to get symptoms back with that break. So you can continue all the way through. If you're still cycling, we're going to kind of match your cycle, where you're going to take that progesterone on the second half of your cycle, usually days like 13 through 25 or 14 through 26, depending on the length of your cycle and your symptoms. So that's kind of how that works. Let's see. I bet there are some health coaches out there who are on like social media saying that it's good for women to still have their period all through menopause. That's absolutely hogwash. Totally not proven in any studies, or I don't know any woman who wants to have their period for the rest of their life. There's no need for it. It's just a withdrawal bleed that you're getting. It's not actually like an actual period. So it's actually nonsensical. There's no need for it. So I just thought I'd address that. Let's see. Is it too late to start low dosage estradiol supplement at age 70? No, so you might have missed the beginning where someone else asked this question. There is no upper age limit. Absolutely none. No upper age limit. So you can absolutely start non-toxic, bioidentical transdermal estrogen at any age. So if you still have a uterus, you're also going to want to use progesterone, bioidentical progesterone as well. But even if you don't have a uterus, I would actually still recommend bioidentical progesterone because you want that hormone balance. There's something to that balance that makes you feel so much better. And so, and there's a lot of benefits to progesterone in your body, in your brain, for sleep, for your skin, for your hair. And so I definitely would recommend that. And no, there's no upper age limit. The age limit, I talked about this earlier, but it was kind of generated out of the fact that we were using toxic synthetic hormones that were made from horses' urine or made from chemicals that were not really working in the body the way they were supposed to. So they were creating these inflammatory markers and these clotting factors that were causing problems for women when they were taking it later. And then the thought is that you've had all this damage. So basically, by not having hormones until 70, you've had some decline happening, right? And so would it have been better for you to take hormones when you were like 45 years old, when you first started perimenopause? Absolutely, yes. That if we can turn back time and we knew what we know now back then, we would have started doing bioidentical transdermal hormones then. But we didn't have that information then. You're here today, 2024, World Menopause Month. You're like, I should be taking these hormones. And so yes, you would have had more benefits, more protection had you started earlier, but you're still going to get benefits now. There's no negative side effects to taking transdermal hormones now. You don't want to take an oral estrogen because that is going to cause those clotting factors and that damage and those enzymes that can cause issues, especially if you're older. This can happen at any age, but especially if you're older, you want to use the most toxin-free, the cleanest, purest bioidentical hormones. You want to go through the skin. It's not going to go through the liver. It bypasses that whole process that causes those clotting factors and those enzymes. So 100% safe. You can start lower dose, see how your body reacts, and then gradually increase your dose so that you actually are going to increase your longevity. You're going to feel better. You're going to look younger. It's going to do a world of difference for you. See, what natural products or systems do you suggest that are not chemical based, foods, etc.? So, number one, all of the hormones that we use at Glow Natural Wellness are not chemical based. They're all the hormones themselves are extracts from wild yam that are biologically identical to the hormones in our body. All of the other ingredients are 100% plant-based ingredients that you can absolutely pronounce. Organic oils, things like shea butter, absolutely clean, non-toxic, not tested on animals. So that's like the one like non-toxic, natural, non-chemical thing that you can do for like an immediate result, right? But then also, like I mentioned, lifestyle is equally as important. You can be someone who's 45 years old with perfect hormones, but you can be eating processed packaged food, sitting on the couch all day in a toxic relationship, hating your job, living in an environment with all these chemicals and fragrances and air fresheners and mold, and you would be a total mess. You'd have all the symptoms of menopause, even though your hormone levels are perfect and you're taking the right amount of hormones, but the whole lifestyle needs to be overhauled. And so you definitely want to reduce as much toxins in your environment as possible. So looking at your personal care products, looking at your cleaning products, looking at the air that you breathe, the clothing that you wear. So looking for the most non-toxic options. Eating as whole, real food as possible as you can, the cleanest, closest to nature that you can is going to be super helpful. Moving your body, so going out for a walk, getting out in nature, all these things are going to be important. If you don't have access to a gym, you can do push-ups and squats and sit-ups. That can be your strength training. So that's going to be like you can do things like lunges and jumping jacks, and that's going to be what you're going to do for your osteoporosis. You're going to go out and walk for your mental health and for your circulation and your heart health. And then you're going to do some gratitude practices. You're going to do some meditation. You're going to do some mindfulness activities, something to center your body, settle your mind, have you focus on your purpose and what life is all about and have some gratitude and gratefulness and really lift yourself up and fill yourself from the inside out. And that's going to work wonders on your hormones. I actually have a little mini course called Breathing for Hormone Balance. And you know what? Because you guys are all here tonight, because I was giving out prizes, but I kind of want to give you guys all a prize. I'm going to give you guys all the Breathing for Hormone Balance mini course for absolutely free. So I'm going to tell you a code right now, but it's not active on the website because I'm doing this on the fly. So we're going to put in the code Menopause Day. So Menopause Day is going to be the code. It will not work right now if you go to the website because I'm making this up right now. But later and tomorrow when I send the replay, after we're off of this call, the first thing I'm going to do is go into the website and create that coupon code. So later tonight it will work. If you go to our website, you go to programs and you look for Breathing for Hormone Balance. You're going to hit purchase. It's going to look like you're going to spend money, but you're going to get to the checkout and you're going to enter the coupon code Menopause Day. It will make the purchase price 0. You will check out. You will not need to put in a credit card or anything like that. And then you will get access to that course so that you have something that you can do that's natural, non-toxic. That's not only going to help you with your hormone balance and your menopause symptoms, but it's also going to help you with your happiness. It's going to help you with your relationships. It's going to help you with your brain fog and all the things that you want to improve in your life just for your breath. And I tell you about the science in that course as well. It's very short, so it's not a lot to watch. It's a little interaction that you're going to do with me, some breath work. And so the coupon code again is Menopause Day. So if we want to put that in, if you guys can link it in the chat, the Breathing for Hormone Balance course. And again, I just made up the coupon code, so it does not exist on our website. So you can't put it in right now. But as soon as we get off the call, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I might actually end like 5 minutes before the top of the hour so I can do that before I have to leave here. And then you guys will get that absolutely free as my gift to all of you because I want to like give away a ton of prizes, but it's impossible to give you guys all a prize, but that's the way I can do that. So I love you guys all, and I hope it's helpful for you too. It totally helped me. I used to be one of those people that would take my supplements, would eat my healthy diet, would go to the gym, but would ignore the meditation, would ignore the breath work. And I was like, that's just so like woo woo. That's like, doesn't really work. Like breathing, I breathe anyway. I was born breathing, right? But it's a certain technique, it's a way of breathing, it's a mindfulness. It's a way to like open up and kind of center your heart and brain coherence. And it is scientifically proven. I give you a lot of facts and some science inside the course, and scientifically proven to reduce hot flashes, scientifically proven to improve sleep. So many amazing things that can be super helpful. So it's called Breathing for Hormone Balance, and you guys get that all for free. So I'm glad you asked that question. Well, hormones are off with breast pain. So, a lot of times when we have low estrogen, our breasts can get sore and tender. You might have noticed this back in the day when you were cycling. Um, Someone would go to hug you and you'd be like, oh, my boobs hurt because they're a little bit sore. So that could be, but also it can be too much estrogen can cause breast pain. So also just an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone. So it's really hard to put the finger on the actual cause because it's really just the imbalance of estrogen and progesterone that causes that breast pain. But definitely too much estrogen can cause this like fullness in the breasts and a little bit of tenderness, like almost like water retention, feel like your breasts are gonna like explode. That can be like sometimes at the onset of starting hormone replacement therapy because all the receptors are kind of waking up. Or it can be if your dose is too high, that usually will resolve on its own. But if it's too painful or troubling to you, then you can reduce your dose for time being, like just a small reduction, see if that subsides, and then kind of go from there and increase as your body gets more used to it. Cool. I need to drink a little bit of water. Okay, I was using 1 milligram of bias and I felt great, but my current provider doesn't support that. Eddie's saying that's way too much. Would you share what you think and what you would use? So we use anywhere from 0.5 milligram or even 0.25 up to 2 milligrams. So it really depends. And so you're only getting in that, if you're using a 50-50, so you're only getting 0.5 milligram of estradiol, which is it's a regular dose, but it's by no means a high dose. And so you can absolutely double that or even triple that and still be in a normal dose. So if you felt good on that dose, that was a dose you were supposed to be at. And it's by no means high at all. I don't know if your doctor is maybe not like really trained in hormone replacement therapy, but most doctors who are will know that 0.5 milligram of estradiol is not an excessive dose at all. So you're good to maybe find another practitioner or just go to your practitioner and say, hey, I talked to a well-known doctor who is very well versed in menopause, and she said that it's really common to be on 0.5 milligram of estradiol, and it's not by any means a high dose. So I don't know why you're telling me it's high. Like she said that some of her clients are even on double and triple of that, and it's not excessive at all. So if he ask him to look up what the standard dose for estradiol is in hormone replacement therapy, and he'll see it's anywhere from 0.25 to 1.5 is like the standard. And then there's always ways that you can go up or down from that. So hopefully that's helpful. I listen to your body for sure. One thing in our practice, we always will listen to you and your body. And whatever the labs has says, whatever we think is the standard, like you are the best, like kind of test. You are the best, like one to your body, your body, and your body is giving you that signal and telling you. So definitely your doctor will hopefully listen to you. Let's see, I just did a Dutch hormone test that showed that I have 0 estradiol for my age, a little progesterone, and normal testosterone for my age at 72. Can I take estradiol by itself, or how do I get in touch with you? All right, yes. So you can definitely take estradiol. You didn't say whether or not you have a uterus. So I would definitely take estradiol and progesterone together. You can take bias, which is estriol plus estradiol. Estriol has a lot of protective qualities for your immune system and for your brain and for your heart. And so it's always good to take the combination, especially at an older age. I like the combination for everybody, but so estradiol and estriol combination, and then progesterone, you can definitely reach out to us. I think you can book a call if you want to. Shauna just posted the link. It's glownaturalwellness.com/pages/book a call, but the link is right there. And we will also, if you are looking at our emails tomorrow when we send the replay, we'll also link that in there as well. We'd love to help you in the Healthy Hormone Club. And yeah, I think that don't worry, you're not too old at all. You're at the perfect age right now, is just the right time. Let's see. I was wondering if you take, let's see. I was wondering what your take on heart disease and hormone treatment. So hormone treatment is actually the correct non-toxic transdermal hormone replacement therapy that's bioidentical is actually lowers your risk factor for heart disease. So it's protective for your heart. That's been proving time and time again, even back to the Women's Health Initiative study in 2002, the study that made everyone think that hormones are bad. Even that study proved that hormones are heart protective. There was a 10 million women study done earlier this year, and it proved that hormone replacement therapy helps reduce risk of heart disease, of cancer, of diabetes, of dementia, of most causes of mortality. So most reasons for dying. So yes, it's really not a debated question anymore that hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical in the right dose and delivery, preferably transdermal, especially for estrogen, is going to be protective for heart disease. Awesome. What's the best time to use hormone creams? So, depending on which hormone you're using, Estrogen is great in the morning, so is DHEA and testosterone because they're energizing. You can also use estrogen at night. Some people use it twice a day. Progesterone is wonderful in the evening because it helps calm your body, but you can use progesterone in the morning, especially if it's transdermal. It's not going to make you tired. To make your progesterone work even better, you should have some food in your stomach so you don't have to take it absolutely like right when you're eating. But fasting will sometimes make your progesterone not absorb or work as well. So that's just like a little tip that a lot of people don't know. So most people use their hormone creams at the same time, like similar times of the day. So like maybe once you wake up after you take a shower, you're getting ready for work, you put your hormones on, and then you're getting ready for bed, you're brushing your teeth, you put your hormones on. So that's kind of a good way to do it. We do have some people that work night shift and they do their hormones at weird times of the day, but it's consistent for them, and so that's fine. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. What staff following you in this program? Oh, you're asking me like who the hormone specialists are, I believe. So we have some hormone specialists with different backgrounds. We have a naturopathic physician, we have pharmacists, we have lots of nurses, different degrees of nurses, registered nurses, LVNs. We have some health coaches. So the hormone specialists all have various backgrounds, but they are all expertly trained by myself to analyze hormones, know about your symptoms. They know how to dose the hormones, and they know how to recommend different lifestyle habits and ideas and solutions for you to have the most optimal hormone health. Interesting, like in medical school, and at least in traditional medical school, you don't really learn anything about menopause, perimenopause, hormone replacement therapy. We all have to go to continuing education after school and do a lot of our own research to actually learn about hormones, learn about menopause, learn about the symptoms and the solutions. And so I am constantly going for more education as new developments come out, as new studies happen, as we see new medications get on the market. Unfortunately, menopause has become big business in recent years. So pharmaceutical companies are now coming out for medications for hot flashes and medications for brain fog and medications for low libido and medications for all the different symptoms of menopause. But the root cause is hormone deficiency. So the benefit is going to be to address that root cause, and you likely won't need all those other medications. So, yes. What do you advise why don't you advise to apply the cream vaginally? We do have some vaginal cream. You're asking about the inner and outer labia. We do recommend that for our Glow Below product, which is our vaginal and vulval rejuvenation serum. Most people is not the most convenient thing to do. Some people don't like applying the hormones there. It's not absolutely not necessary. Can you apply hormones vaginally into your vulvar tissues? You can. It is another area of skin that you can apply to, but we don't typically recommend that. We do recommend vaginal and vulvar estrogen and DHEA application for symptoms in that area. But we find that the systemic absorption tends to work better using the other sites. So, but it's really a personal preference. So I do have some women that use their hormones vaginally, the higher dose hormones for systemic, and you can totally do that if you want to. Let's see. I'm a retired OBGYN, and we used to titrate HRT based on a patient's symptoms. Do you recommend titrating dose based on lab results instead? I never recommend treating women based on lab results alone. So we definitely, you look at symptoms, we look at labs as well. We look at the whole picture. We look at goals. We look at past experiences to determine a starting dose, but we're constantly, looking at symptoms. If we are still have symptoms to address, then we would definitely adjust dosing along the way. Yeah, so it's definitely always good to listen to the woman who is taking the hormones and requesting the solution for their symptoms and work with them on getting the right dose. So it's definitely a science. It's kind of an art and a science. It's not always the same dose for everybody. So yes, definitely it's an ongoing thing. This is why sometimes you go to a doctor, you get a prescription, and then you can't talk to your doctor again for another 6 months. It sometimes can be disheartening, and you might not see as much relief because you might need a dose adjustment. Awesome. When does the discount for the Healthy Hormone Club expire? So we're doing our menopause month sale. So it's actually good until the end of the month or until we reach capacity, because we do have unlimited hormone specialist appointments and check-ins. And so there could be a capacity limit, because we always want to make sure that we can serve everybody in a quick amount of time, so there's not a lot of wait time. If you need an appointment, you need to call in, you don't have to wait super long. So I don't have an exact day, but the plan is to leave it open for the end of the month. However, if we fill up, then we will have to like end the sale at a certain date. So if you think you want to join, let's go ahead and join. And why wait? We can start balancing your hormones now. But chances are it'll be till the end of the month. But like I said, if like all of a sudden we have like a rush of people, which did happen last year. We had like an influencer join, and she started talking about it to her audience. And then we had to close the sale early. So there's always that possibility, and we would only do that because we want to provide the best possible service we can, and we don't want people to join and have to wait to get help. Okay, let's see. Should hormones be applied on the areas with some fat? Not necessarily. You mentioned applying to cream on arms. I assume there's no fat in these areas. So it's more important that it's thinner skin and less hair follicles, because the hair follicles can change, can kind of start breaking down the hormones a little bit, or change the chemical consistency. They'll start metabolizing them a little bit. So that's more important. Now, some people will apply their hormones to areas like their butt if they want like a slower release, less more time to get into the bloodstream or into the tissues. So there's not one right or wrong answer. What I talked about earlier was like the standard that we recommend in normal circumstances, but there are a lot of circumstances where people are super sensitive, or they had experience in the past where they didn't feel well on a certain hormone, and then we might use the area of slower release, which is going to be a more meatier area of the body. So yeah, it's kind of individual. So I would just talk with whoever you're getting your hormones from, and just ask them what they recommend. And some different types of hormones might be a different delivery method or different location. Let's see. Can you give us base numbers for happy medium on hormone levels? That's going to be available on like any test. So if you're getting a blood test, there's going to be different ranges for if you're cycling, if you are postmenopausal, um, if you are in your luteal phase or in your follicular phase. So at different times of cycle, and whether you're on hormone replacement or not. So there's all different ranges depending on your unique situation. So that information is readily available online. I can do a blog post to kind of share for like saliva, for blood, for just on hormone replacement or not on hormone replacement. If you guys think that would be interesting, I can totally share that information. It's a lot to talk about in this type of format because there's so many different scenarios and so many different ranges for different stages of life, and whether you're on hormones or not, and whether you're doing blood versus saliva versus blood spot versus urine, they all have different ranges. So it's kind of hard to give you that information right here. But if that's interesting to you guys, definitely let me know. And I can definitely put something together, either like a PDF or a blog post on the site. Awesome. Let's see. If you don't recommend yearly mammograms, what do you recommend for early breast cancer detection? So I recommend self-exams. There's also some thermography, and there's some other screenings that are, they use like a water-based ultrasound to do the imaging, and it's much more accurate than a mammogram and has less radiation. So it's not actually causing any damage or any possible, carcinogens just for doing the test. So yeah, there's lots of different resources for that. But I'm not a fan of the mammogram. I never have been. I've never had a mammogram myself. And I've just seen much more harm than good done with mammograms, and in the early detection is not actually helping at all. It's actually hurting because over 50% of the positives are false positives. And so all these women are getting the stress of thinking they have cancer, going through hormone suppressing treatments, which are causing heart disease and Alzheimer's and osteoporosis and lower quality of life. And it's for no reason at all. And so, yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of the mammogram. Can I share what I do for exercise personally? So, I actually enjoy exercising. I've always been kind of athletic. So I do a combination of weight training and cardio. I like doing like either walking or walk running on the treadmill, or doing like the stair climber at the gym while I do emails and while I do answer my social media posts. So I kind of like to do a little work while I'm doing those types of cardio activities. And then I do like to lift weights. So I like the different like squats and presses and stuff like that. I like the traditional like weights. I don't use a lot of machines. I do like the cable machines a lot. But I do share some of my workouts on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, Dr. Michelle Sands, I do on Wednesdays kind of do a little workout Wednesday. So you can kind of get a little insight into some of the things I do for my workout. Sometimes I'll share like an actual workout, and then sometimes I will just share like a little inspirational like clip of me doing some workouts with like some like, I don't know, motivation for you to get in the gym. But I also, inside the Healthy Hormone Club, I actually do have a whole weight training program in there. That is one that I actually do myself. And a lot of exercises that I incorporate into my own plan, I put into the Healthy Hormone Club, and I do a whole video showing you how to do those exercises as well. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see. I worry about having menopause, thyroid, and gut symptoms. I may not see any improvement from Hormone Club. I guess I need extra coaching from practitioner to get some results. Yeah, so yeah, I can't guarantee that the Healthy Hormone Club will solve all of your problems, especially if you have gut issues and you have thyroid issues as well, and inflammation and things like that. So it would be like unethical of me to say, just join the Healthy Hormone Club and all your problems will go away. But hormone decline is really at the root of a lot of problems. So a lot of problems can improve by getting that hormone balance, especially for women, especially women over 40. A lot of our inflammation, a lot of our gut issues, a lot of our thyroid issues, a lot of our aches and pains and struggles are a result of this hormone decline. But we also have to do the lifestyle piece. We also have to make sure we don't have infections or toxicity or other things that are preventing us from actually like having that optimal function and optimal balance in our body. So yeah, I mean, the one thing I can say is that if you're having all those symptoms and you are hormone deficient, the hormones definitely won't hurt. They will definitely help some. And yes, you probably do need some coaching, and you do need some help along the way. And for us to think that we all like should automatically know how to navigate the world and all the toxicity and all the different things and like take care of our health. We're not taught this in school. So how will we know unless we have a coach, or we, attend programs or webinars and ask questions, right? So that's kind of why I answer these questions for free on these calls. So I think that we all kind of need some support sometimes. And I had people helping me when I was younger and I didn't know anything. Like I had my track coach in junior high who would actually like show me that the foods I ate actually made a difference in my athletic performance and how I felt and how I was able to get my schoolwork done. And then I had nutritionists later on that like totally revolutionized my life when she told me I should remove gluten. And I had no idea that I was, celiac and I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I had all these things that were made worse by eating gluten. And then I had just different mentors along the way to really help me understand about my gut health and about my toxicity and eventually about my hormones. And, I want to kind of be that for some of you guys and help you guys with some of your answers and things that like no one ever told you. And there's a lot of things that even today we're learning that can be very much game changing for your futures. And so, yeah, I'm glad to do this and hopefully you're getting some value out of it. Yeah, so I do recommend thermography and ultrasounds instead of mammograms. I do. Um, I should probably do a whole call on that, especially since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I should probably do a whole like special or at least a YouTube video on that. I actually had one of the great oncologists, breast cancer surgeon, on our Healthy Hormone Club happy hour last month, and she talked all about like mammograms and imaging and kind of like the dangers of mammograms used as a diagnostic tool and alternatives and what she saw as a breast cancer surgeon and what she saw as an oncologist and how these mammograms are actually causing more problems than they are worth, just as I said. Um, and it was just great to hear it coming from her because she was actually on the front lines of that for many, many years. So I should probably do a video on that topic because it's very, very eye-opening. Let's see, are there any supplements that can interfere with BHRT? Um, so I mean, like nutritional supplements, not really. There are some nutritional supplements that contain hormones or hormone precursors that you probably don't want to take at the same time. Also, if you're taking too many supplements, sometimes that can create inflammation or cause some issues with how your body absorbs things. But no, there's not really a lot of like nutritional supplements or herbs that are going to, I guess if you take like high dose herbs, they can interfere with your hormones. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can think about the top of my head as like a nutrient, like a vitamin or mineral that's going to hurt your hormone replacement therapy. But like there are some herbs and stuff that can interfere, so you probably want to look that up if you're taking a high dose of a particular herb. Okay, let's see. Is it normal to experience an acute increase in libido after every bias cream application? Doctor says it's a sign that the dose is too high. It's not super common, but I have heard women who do have an increase in libido, after they use their hormones. Um, like I said, it's not super common, but I don't think if it's problematic for you, like if you just like you just can't handle it, then maybe the dose is too high for you. But if you like it, then the dose is not too high. So, is menopause responsible for constipation? Any recommendations to stay regular? So, menopause can be responsible for both constipation and diarrhea. Changes to your bowel movements, absolutely. Um, recommendations to stay regular. Number one is going to be drinking plenty of water. Our body needs like that water to flush through. Eating 30 grams of fiber per day. Going to be important to make sure you're getting things through your system. Things like slippery elm are great herbs to take when you are feeling like you're constipated. There's also triphala, which is a Ayurvedic combination of herbs that helps with kind of promoting bowel movement, but it's not habit forming like a laxative would be. So that could be helpful. But and then eating like fruit and things like that that have your fiber in it. Definitely a well-balanced meal, definitely helpful. But progesterone and estrogen do affect gut motility. So definitely could be part of the issue for sure. Awesome. Okay, I've been experiencing heart palpitations since starting oral estradiol. Is Is there a better alternative? Absolutely. So I never recommend oral estradiol for anybody. Most doctors don't recommend oral estradiol. There still are a few that are recommending it. Absolutely not necessary. Switch to a transdermal formula, so something that's taken through the skin, that is going to protect you from having issues with your heart down the line. Oral estrogen or oral estrogen is it can cause a lot of issues with your heart, and it's really not recommended. It can lead to things like clots and stroke. And so we never recommend oral estrogen ever. So definitely ask for a switch. See, isn't earlier you answered that one? All right, this is a follow-up question regarding mammograms. If you are not in favor of mammograms, how can someone be sure they don't have cancer? Is there some other tests? Yeah, so we're talking about ultrasound. We're talking about thermography. I can't talk. My lips are starting to stick together. And then there's also some other testing. There's a test called it's called ARIA. It's actually a test that it's a tear test. So they actually analyze your tears for specific proteins in them that will spike if you have breast cancer. So that's another option as well. But definitely do what's right for you. Talk with your practitioner, and hopefully someone who's open-minded. A lot of doctors just say, no, do the mammograms, but they don't have any of the research behind it. So there is a doctor, the one that I was talking about, her name is Dr. Jen Simmons, Simmons. She actually has a whole suite of centers for these alternative imaging, but she's a real champion for understanding the dangers of diagnostic mammograms. Now, she's not against mammograms if you actually do have breast cancer and that's part of your treatment to like see how it's doing. That's not the problem. It's the diagnostic mammograms is the ones that are determining if you have cancer. They actually can be giving you cancer or creating things that are much worse than cancer. So yeah. Awesome. All right. Can you share what you do for, oh, I already answered that one. Well, hormones help hair loss. So absolutely. So there's several reasons for hair loss that are hormone related. So one, not sex hormone related, but hormone thyroid. So thyroid hormone deficiency can cause hair loss, but so can progesterone deficiency and estrogen deficiency, especially when that's coupled with androgen dominance. So when you have higher levels of testosterone in relation to your estrogen and progesterone, that can cause something called follicular miniaturization. So this is where your hair follicles actually shrink and you're not able to grow hair as well out of them. And so what happens when you have this androgen dominance, you have phases of hair growth. So you have a growing phase, you have a resting phase, and then you have a falling out phase. So you spend more time in that falling out and resting phase than you do in the growing phase when your estrogen and progesterone are deficient. And then there's also been a lot of studies about how progesterone can actually help with the health of your hair follicles to help keep them healthy and prevent them from shrinking. Progesterone is also great for like the luster and thickness and shine of your hair. This is why when we see women who are pregnant, who have very high levels of estrogen and progesterone, they have that glow, their hair is so shiny and strong, and that is due to those hormone levels. And so that's why we see like dry, breaking, brittle, thinning hair as we get to perimenopause and menopause. Okay, you guys, so I am over past the time that I need to get to see my son. I know that we still have more questions. Oh, I'm almost done. All right, I'm going to try to answer these quickly. So let me just shoot a quick text to let them know that I'm not going to be here. All right, we're going to do voicemail. Hey there, I'm still answering some questions on the hormone Q&A, so I will not be home for another like 10 to 15 minutes. All right, see you guys soon. Love you. Bye. All right, just let the voice memo because it's so much faster than texting. All right, so let's see. The next question is, I have urethral carnicle discovered by my urologist. It does not cause pain or affect going to the bathroom. Will this go away? Will applying Glow Below help? So sometimes they can go away, sometimes they stay, and oftentimes they don't grow any bigger. So it's okay. What you can do sometimes can help is just sitz baths. So sitting in like warm water or Epsom salt baths can help to keep them from getting larger. And global with estrogen can help the overall health, but may or may not help them to shrink. So they can go away on their own though. So I would just, keep doing what you're doing, keep the area clean, and using hormone replacement therapy won't hurt or help. So globally won't hurt it, but it's not really going to necessarily improve it. So you can definitely try. I just haven't seen a lot of research on applying estrogen actually shrinking those growths. So unfortunately, that sometimes they happen and there's not really a lot of reason for it. But most of the time, it's not going to cause any issues for you. So at least it's not hurting you or causing anything like that. Let's see. Can certain workouts be too intense for women in perimenopause? I don't have the energy anymore to work out cardio 3 times a week. So absolutely, actually, great question. When we are in perimenopause, a lot of times we are in this kind of fragile state where we don't want to overtax our bodies. So we don't want to do a lot of fasting. We don't want to do a lot of HIIT exercises like high intensity interval training. But walking outside in nature is a great way to get cardio, and it's actually very restorative and stress reducing. So that will not be taxing on your body. Even though you feel tired, sometimes getting your body moving, getting out in the sunshine can actually energize you a little bit. So you do want to make sure that you're getting sleep. You do want to make sure that you're nourishing your body, not overextending, but even 10-minute walks. So when I say cardio, like you can get 30 minutes of cardio from 3 10-minute walks a day. So maybe after breakfast, you go for a 10-minute walk, 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back, out your front door and back. After lunch, you go for a 5-minute out, 5-minute back walk. After dinner, you do the same. You can also get a walking pad in your house. You can also just like march in place. They have some great YouTube videos where you can like walk 2 miles, just watching the video and you're just walking along with it. Even just pacing while you're on the phone. These are all ways to get more steps in. But my favorite though is walking outside in nature because that's going to have some stress reduction benefits as well. So you're absolutely right, though. In perimenopause and even in menopause, we have a lot going on. Our bodies can be very stressed, and adding on super hard workouts like CrossFit or high intensity interval training and over dieting and fasting and doing all these things and cold plunges. These can all be very stressful to the body. So we have to kind of honor ourselves where we're at and still get some movement. We don't want to be sedentary, but doing things in a way that is suitable for your current state. And then as you become stronger, as you get those hormones topped off and restored, and you're starting to get more energy and you're starting to sleep better, then you can add in more intense exercise. You can add in the weight training and things like that. Awesome. Is it normal to experience acute increase? Oh, no, I already answered that one. My gynecologist said that blood tests are not accurate to assess if I will be in perimenopause because hormones fluctuate from one day to another. If that is the case, do you base the hormone replacement on the blood test? So you're not testing to see if you're in perimenopause, you're testing to see where your hormones are in relation to your symptoms. So we do a complete symptom assessment, which is like 68 symptoms of estrogen, progesterone deficiency, estrogen excess, testosterone deficiency, testosterone excess, cortisol imbalance, thyroid imbalance, metabolic syndrome. So we're looking at all these symptoms. And then we're also looking at your labs to see where the things correlate. Now, yes, will hormones fluctuate in perimenopause? Absolutely. Do we want to just totally ignore the test? No, because we might have a situation where your testosterone's high and your estrogen's low, or your estrogen's high and your progesterone's low, and that might correlate with your symptoms, and then that gives us a good idea that that's actually what's going on. So do we want to test for perimenopause? No, we don't need to test for perimenopause. We know based on your age, your menstrual cycles, and your symptoms, whether or not you're in perimenopause. We do not need to test for it. But we're going to look at the combination of your goals, your symptoms, and your test results all together to formulate what your starting dose will be. And then we're going to reassess. We're going to look at how your symptoms are improving. We're going to retest you to see where you're at, and we'll keep adjusting doses like that. Do you absolutely need the test? No. Is it nice to have? Yes. Do we include it in the program at no additional cost? Absolutely. So why not just have that as a baseline to see where you're at, and then you can kind of compare later on. Can you please repeat the minimum dose of estradiol for bone protection? Right. So I did say that like a minimum might be 0.25 milligrams of estradiol. However, that minimum might be higher for certain people. So that is kind of the minimum standard that for all women, you kind of need at least that much to have help on the bone, but some women might need more in order to improve bone density. So hopefully that's clear. I don't want to by any means blanket say that 0.25 milligrams of estradiol is going to help everyone's bone density, because someone else might need half a milligram, someone else might need a whole milligram to improve their bone density based on how they absorb and what they actually need. So I just want to be clear on that. Do you prescribe pellets? No, I absolutely hate pellets. So I would never prescribe pellets. They do more harm than good. And I really do not think that they are doing anyone a service. So I do not do that. What part does progesterone and estrogen levels play with fibroids? So fibroids can happen regardless of whether your hormones are balanced, but when you have estrogen dominance, so higher estrogen in relation to your progesterone, this can mean that you have normal estrogen and low progesterone. This can mean you have low estrogen and lower progesterone. This can mean you have high estrogen and normal progesterone. It's just an imbalance, a relative imbalance of estrogen being the more dominant hormone that can cause fibroids to develop, but so can toxicity, so can anti-inflammatory, or so can an inflammatory diet. And so all these things can play into fibroids. When you do balance hormones and you clean up the diet and lifestyle, fibroids can shrink. So that is always good. And fibroids don't necessarily have to be a sign of cancer or anything that's ominous. Sometimes fibroids are just there. But you can definitely shrink them. I actually have an article on my website about natural ways to reduce fibroids. Can you define non-toxic, like bioidentical HRT dosages when starting these? So what I mean by non-toxic is it has no toxins, so no plastics, no petrochemicals, no parabens, no phthalates, no no chemicals at all. So only 100% natural ingredients. That's what I mean by non-toxic. There are so many pharmaceutical and compounded preparations that have all of these components in them: formaldehyde, microplastics, forever chemicals, phthalates, parabens, all these things we're seeing inside these base creams, inside the adhesive on the patches, inside the oral hormones, and so in the gels. It's very common for medications to have these toxic components in them. And the fact is that they're generally recognized as safe, meaning in a very small dose, and that one single dose is not going to cause an immediate reaction, but over time can be cancer causing, can be hormone disrupting, which is what you're doing when you're putting the hormones on. You're trying to balance your hormones, not disrupt them. So it's actually pretty like maddening when I look at these additional ingredients inside some of these products. That's one of the things at Glow Natural Wellness that like we have been very, very clear on, is that we do not compromise on anything that we are putting in our body. So if I want to balance hormones, I'm only putting in things that are going to nourish and support that, not anything that's going to take away from it. Is it more expensive to create formulas like this? Yes. I'm currently also working on some other delivery methods. So we just released some sublingual hormones that are completely clean and not tested on animals and certified pure with no additional chemicals in them and no inflammatory agents either. So no peanut oil, which is going to cause inflammation. So that's kind of what I mean by that. And of course, you have to do what's available to you. But always look at the additional ingredients in anything that you take, even if it's a prescription. Just because it's prescribed doesn't mean it's 100% clean and safe. Do transdermal progesterone and estrogen cause bleeding like the regular estradiol claims to give you periods? Not when you're on the right dose. Absolutely not. Let's see, I'm turning 60 next month and haven't had periods since April. Can the healthy hormone help me get my cycles back to possibly get pregnant if I still have eggs left? So no, the purpose of hormone replacement therapy for menopause and perimenopause is not to bring your cycles back. So that's not the point. The point is to optimize your hormone levels for longevity, for better health, for symptom relief. And so, yeah, no, chances are if you, oh, you're turning 50, I think I read 60. I don't have my contacts in. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible you can still get pregnant because it's only been since April that you haven't had a period, but I wouldn't be able to say that hormone replacement therapy is going to bring back your period. So it's not going to push back when you're going to go through menopause. It's not going to do that. Like you're going to go through menopause when you're going to go through menopause. It's not going to delay that. Even if we did something where we gave you a dose of hormones and then turn your hormones off and produced a bleed, that is not an actual like ovulatory period. That would just be a withdrawal bleed like you do on the birth control pill. So that would not increase your fertility. But I did earlier talk about the women who had gone through menopause and are now doing PRP to stimulate the ovaries to come alive again and release those eggs. So if you do still have some eggs left, you can absolutely get pregnant. So, but the hormone replacement therapy is not going to facilitate that or make it happen any more or less than it would have already. What it can do though is if you were to get pregnant, the hormone replacement therapy would help sustain that baby so that if you had hormones were in the tank and you got pregnant because you released an egg, it sputtered out and you didn't have any hormones to support that, that could be a miscarriage. So it's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to be the ticket to getting pregnant, if that's makes sense. All right. Can you talk about why not to use oral estradiol? I talked about that earlier. So when you take oral estradiol, it actually has to go through your digestive system into the liver. The liver creates enzymes that can cause stroke, can cause cardiovascular disease. And so it's a side effect of the oral estrogen. You should be able to get estrogen cream or gel, transdermal estrogen, or a patch covered by your insurance as well. You could take oral estrogen or oral progesterone. That's not a problem, but oral estrogen is the problem. So there's really nothing you can do to change it. It's not going to happen to 100% of women, but it is a risk that you don't need to take because there are pharmaceutical estrogens that are available in other delivery methods. So just ask your doctor, say, hey, I don't want to take the oral estrogen. Can I get estrogen in another delivery method? And they can absolutely do that for you. What are your thoughts about using external testosterone cream to help with libido? Yeah, I mean, that can definitely help. Testosterone can definitely help with libido. So it's not a problem. How do you treat urethral cancer? That's not my area of expertise. That's something that you'd want to go to OBGYN for. So it's not something that I'm going to talk about tonight. But yeah, your OBGYN can help you with that. And sometimes you can't treat it. Sometimes it just stays. So what she's talking about is a urethral carnicle. It's like a growth on your urethra, usually not cancerous, usually not dangerous in any way, but can be uncomfortable if they grow to a certain size. I am not the expert in procedures for that, but I do believe they do have like some laser and some other procedures that can remove it for you if it becomes troublesome. But if it's not bothering you and it's not causing any pain, then it's not a problem for it just to be there, or sometimes it can go away on its own. So that's what I would hope for. All right, let's see. I've got two more questions and then I'm going to go see my son. Let's see. My daughter, 33, has PCOS for 8 years. Doctors want to prescribe her with birth control, which does not agree with her. Is there something you deal with? She's upwards of 300 pounds now and losing her hair and no help. So definitely progesterone. So first thing I would do for someone with PCOS is going to need progesterone to balance out her androgens. She's also going to want to work on insulin resistance. So going on a lower carb diet, getting some exercise, like those are going to be the top things to do. But you can actually, we have something called Pro Drops, which is a micronized progesterone that can be used sublingually or topically. I would get her on the Pro Drops right away because that is going to really help to balance out a lot of that imbalance. And there's also some like great dietary things that she can do. PCOS is something that can be treated a lot with lifestyle, but can be helped a lot also with progesterone. So those two things together are going to be really, really helpful. And yeah, I have treated a lot of PCOS cases. I personally had PCOS when I was younger. Definitely something that is treatable. And unfortunately, I'm sorry that the go-to in our medical system for any female hormone problem is going to be birth control pills, but that's not really going to help her in the long term. It can provide some symptom relief for her because of the progesterone-like substances, but transdermal or sublingual micronized progesterone is going to be great. We offer it on our website. Just go to glownaturalwellness.com and look up Pro Drops, and that can be super helpful for her. Let's see. Can menopause change the pigmentation of the vulva? Yes, sometimes skin can get darker even around your groin area, like around your inner thighs, even your armpits, your breasts. So yes, it can change the pigmentation or it can make your skin a little darker. Let's see. Thank you for taking the time to answer all the questions. You're so welcome. Last question. Do I need progesterone and or testosterone if I'm losing my hair? So a lot of times hair loss is due to excess testosterone, deficient progesterone. So usually excess, if you have low testosterone, it's not going to cause hair loss. High testosterone is going to cause hair loss. It's funny because it causes hair loss on your head and hair growth on your face and your chest. So a cruel joke that Mother Nature plays, but it is just not what we want as women. So progesterone, though, could be helpful for hair loss and also optimizing thyroid health. Also, and estrogen to some degree can also help with the hair. So you want to balance out those hormones. You want to optimize your thyroid. You want to make sure you're not under a lot of stress because stress in and of itself can cause hair loss. Another thing you can do is red light therapy. Has been shown to be super helpful for your hair. So you can get a red light panel or they have like these little hats. I use a face mask for my red light therapy, and then you can just stick it on your head when you're done. So that's a little tip that you can do. But progesterone, absolutely helpful. We are coming out with the hair serum. Right now, it's just going under its final phases of product development and getting the packaging right. So I'm hoping to have that by Christmas. It's called Root Cause Hair Serum, and it has microdose progesterone in it, but also a lot of herbal extracts to help with the hair follicles and regrow your hair. And I've been using it, and I used to have a lot of patches right here of like missing hair on the side of my head just from getting older. I had thyroid issues for most of my adult life. I had to get my eyebrows microbladed because I lost most of my eyebrow hairs. And so I still had some patchiness, and I'm starting to get all these baby hairs. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm getting all these little baby hairs growing back in from using that hair serum. It works really, really well. So I'm hoping to have that for you guys by the end of the year. Just working on some things with the packaging and getting all the raw materials in so that we can get that out to you guys. So anyway, thank you so much for being here tonight. Happy Menopause Day. That's tomorrow, World Menopause Day. Super exciting that we have this day to come together, talk about our issues, talk about solutions, and share some wisdom. And I appreciate you guys all being here, being part of my community. Love you guys so much. And definitely in the chat, there's some links to different things. I'm going to right now put Menopause Day as the coupon code for the Breathing for Hormone Balance. You guys can all download for absolutely free. I hope that you join us in the Healthy Hormone Club. It's on sale for 53% off, meaning you take the price on the website, you cut it in half, could take a little bit more off, and then that's the price, whether you want to sign up annually, monthly, and that price you lock in for as long as you're in the program. So it's not like you're going to pay a high price next month. And then anything else, we'll also have a link tomorrow in the email. There's a link in the chat if you want to book a consultation to see if like Healthy Hormone Club is right for you, if you just want to know for your particular situation or you have some questions. And then you can also go to our website, glownaturalwellness.com. You can click on Hormone Club to learn about the Healthy Hormone Club. You can click on Learn to download all the free resources. And then you can follow me on Instagram if you want to say hi, or you want to follow my workouts or what I'm doing, stay up to date. It's at Dr. Michelle Sands on Instagram. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys soon. Stay posted. Let's check your emails for when we're going to do this again. It's been a lot of fun, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.